Hello, world. I think I'm going. All right, hello. I wanted to read a poem by Eleanor Berry. This is a poem called Looking Out. It was published in her book Only So Far, which came out in 2019. And I looked for it online. I didn't see it. So if you want to read it for yourself, you'll have to buy the book. And I'll put a link if it's available on Amazon down below. Looking Out. Even in rain, the tulips stand like soldiers. Give me the loose sprays of woodland hyacinth, spilling fragrance on new green. Aren't we sensitive? He mocked, when I remarked I could tell the flowers in the arrangement were real. Some stems gone limp, petals brown. Across the still pond, one pale duck draws after it a bright line of wake. Near the center, a dark one seems asleep, head under wing. In the lecture hall, drawn shades shut out sunlight. My pupils dilate. My mind remains a dim room. I cannot see outside itself. I'm going to do that last line again. Last couple lines. My pupils dilate. My mind remains a dim room. It cannot see outside itself. Looking Out by Eleanor Berry. I want to say a couple things about this poem that I find really interesting. This poem is written in 4 stanzas. And between these stanzas is a character some people call a swoop-de-doo. But if you're, if you've taken Spanish, it's a tilde. It's one of those. And so, in the context of this poem, that tilde has a mathematical meaning as well as lingual meaning. For different languages, it means different things. But it also means approximate. And so we have 4 stanzas, 4 statements, and in it is a symbol between each of these stanzas, and I'm going to read it again. That means that each of these things, well, you can read it in 2 different ways. You can say that there's 3 tildes in there, so you can say that everything is approximate to the first stanza, or you can say each of these stanzas are approximate to each other, whichever way you want to go, I guess. It just makes more sense to that each of these stanzas are probably approximate to each other. So I'm going to give a little pause between each stanza so you can kind of see where that tilde is. Even in rain, the tulips stand like soldiers. Give me the loose sprays of woodland hyacinth, spilling fragrance on new green. Aren't we sensitive, he mocked, when I remarked I could tell the flowers in the arrangement were real. Some stems gone limp, petals brown. Across the still pond, one pale duck draws after it a bright line of wake. Near the center, a dark one seems asleep, head under wing. In the lecture hall, drawn shades shut out sunlight. My pupils dilate. My mind remains a dim room. I cannot see outside itself. I keep on screwing up that last line. I don't know what it is. It's a metal block. My mind remains a dim room. It cannot see outside itself. So then if we take a look at each of these stanzas, number one, that first stanza is very interesting in a lot of different ways. Even in rain, the tulips stand like soldiers. Dash, give me the loose sprays of woodland hyacinth, spilling fragrance on new green. Give me, I choose. You could say that. So the tulips are standing like soldiers. I don't know if it's like but, or instead of, or just as, or a preference. So as opposed to the tulips that stand like soldiers, the poet would rather have the loose sprays of woodland hyacinth. Just one word about loose spray. It's April now, and about this time, this is loose sprays of hyacinth, of woodland hyacinth. It reminds me of just a little bit of a story. It's an aside, really. This just comes up to me. It's a personal story, maybe. This time of year, years and years and years ago, my daughter was playing softball and was practicing at an elementary school here in Kaiser. And it was late afternoon in Kaiser. A lot of times late afternoon, the wind kicks up. And in this elementary school, there was a gigantic lilac bush. One of these, I'm going to say, unkept, or not standing like soldiers. This is a large, untrimmed lilac and full of blossoms. And the wind had kicked up, and from across the field, we weren't downwind from it, but from across the field, you could see the pollen flying off of this lilac bush. And that just kind of like spilling fragrance on new green. Give me the loose sprays of woodland hyacinth spilling fragrance. I just got this mental image of pollen fragrance spilling out onto, that's just me though. Anyway, when I look at these four stanzas, you can look at a couple different ways. You can look at it as a tension. If we're going to do like, sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's the way that the poem reads, maybe it's just the way that I'm interacting with it. It seems like, and these things are supposed to be approximate of each other, right? So let's just kind of break down these stanzas, right? Stanza number one. To me, it's about attention to detail, right? And things that I choose. The tulips are standing like soldiers. Give me, so the poet is saying, okay, here's the things that are standing in a line, but I prefer this kind of wildness. Okay? Second stanza. Also about attention. Aren't we sensitive, he mocked. When I remarked, I could tell the flowers in the arrangement were real. Dash. So, attention, the detail. The third stanza doesn't really deal with this attention to detail. It looks to me like we have one duck that's moving forward and one duck that is knocking their head underneath their wing or resting. And then we have this lecture hall in the fourth stanza where the shades are drawn and there's no sunlight. My pupils dilate. Very interesting line there. My pupils dilate. we have a lecture hall and pupils dilating. So that word pupil can be two different things. It can be the eye, pupils, dilating. Or if I'm in a lecture hall, what does it mean if my class of students dilates, becomes unfocused, right? Becomes inattentive, right? So my mind remains dim and I cannot see outside of itself, which is an interesting thought. So we also have, as we look at these stanzas of approximates, in stanza 1, we have kind of one person, one assertion, give me the loose phrase. In the second one, we have two people. We have one person who is being attentive, and the other person that's like making fun of the person's attention. In the third stanza, we have two ducks. One of them is making a line of a wake, a straight line. I'm assuming it was straight. Across the still pond, one pale duck draws after it a bright line of wake, and the other duck is asleep. And then we have this lecture hall, which could be one person or it could be multiple people. I think I prefer it being multiple people, but you can read that either way. Where when I lose sunlight, I lose focus. So you could say that. You could also say that these similar things get. You could say, I don't know if it would be true. You could say that as these stanzas go on, we start with sharp focus, and then we go with less and less focus until we are completely. We are in a dim room and we cannot see outside of itself. So we start with the sharp focus of tulips and like soldiers, and then we have the individual who is mocking the person, so it's a little bit dimmer, and then we have the duck that's asleep, and then we go to the lecture hall where my mind remains a dim room. I cannot see outside of itself. So there's all of that kind of like the outside to the inside, kind of on the outside to inside. The other thing about, if you're a lecture hall, if you want to kind of draw that metaphor out, you could say that, we have tulips that stand like soldiers, and we also have students that are sitting in rows in lecture hall. So there's that kind of similarity as well. Very interesting poem. I think that's going to do it for today. We'll see you next time.